There's one detail in this Kansas City Chiefs fans case that I've been meaning to talk about. And I've wanted to talk about it for a little while now, but I was hesitant to do so because you know how the internet is. I don't want anyone running wild with this information. I don't want anyone trying to dox these people or find out where they live and harass them, because that happens often when it comes to these true crime cases. But I feel as if this case has reached the point where a lot of the crazies have moved on, and mostly we're left with the people who just want to get to the bottom of what really happened here. Also, I've seen this mentioned in multiple articles now, so I feel like we can go ahead and talk about it. But apparently, at least one of the men who died in that backyard lives only like a mile away from Jordan. He lives within walking distance of Jordan's house. Now, I mentioned this briefly before in a prior video, but I want to expand upon my thoughts about this now. Because the obvious thing that comes up in your mind is, damn, he was living right, basically a couple of blocks away from Jordan. If he was cold and freezing, he could have just went home, right? It makes the story sound even crazier, knowing how close this guy lived, because if anything was really going wrong, you could just walk home, or you could drive home, because of course your car was in front of Jordan's house. But the even weirder part for me, and listen, I'm not trying to say anything or insinuate that there's anything going on here, so please don't think that. But it's weird to me that it took the families, or at least some of the family members of these individuals, 2 days to go to Jordan's house when one of these men lived like a mile away. Now, I understand maybe the parents, they don't necessarily know what's going on in the day-to-day lives of their grown kids. I get it. But then you got the girlfriends, fiancés, and I'm like, the dude was a mile away from home, a couple of blocks away from home. If he's not answering the phone, if you can't get in contact with him, why don't you just go to Jordan's house on day one? Because I feel like if I was in this situation, someone would pop up looking for me. If I'm a mile away, it's not going to take them 2.5 days to come see if I'm okay. If I'm hanging out at a friend's house down the block, not answering the phone for days on end. So the mystery here for me, the question here for me, is why did it take these people so long to look for these men? If they're a mile away, if they're right down the street, a couple of blocks away, why would it take you nearly 3 days to go to where they were to figure out if anything's wrong? Now, that question has been sitting on my mind for a while now. And of course, there's different scenarios. Maybe this was just normal behavior for them. Maybe it was normal behavior to go watch the Chiefs game and disappear for a couple of days. So no one really, got too frantic until it was like day 3. Maybe that's normal behavior. And then we know that it seems as if Jordan is like the outsider of this friend group. A lot of the families, the girlfriends, they don't really know Jordan. They've heard of Jordan, but they don't really know Jordan. I would like to know if they knew where these men were. Did you know where these 3 guys were the whole time, and it took you 2.5 days to go look for them? Or did you literally have to call around, message around, and figure out where these guys were? I want to know if the families, or the girlfriends, or the fiancés, or whoever, I want to know if they had direct knowledge about the location in which their husband or their son or their loved one was hanging out at. Did y'all know the location? Because if you knew the location, I don't understand why it took multiple days for you to go check to see if anything was wrong. And the fact that it took a couple of days, if they knew the location, it lets you it makes you think that maybe this was like normal behavior for them, right? But then, of course, there's this question. How close was Jordan with these three men and their friend group, per se? And how much knowledge do these other people, the family members of these three men, how much knowledge do they have about Jordan? It seems like they don't know much about Jordan. But if Jordan is your friend, and Jordan lives right down the street from your house, shouldn't your family know about Jordan? Shouldn't at least your fiance or your girlfriend know about Jordan? Was Jordan a big secret? Was Jordan purposely kept from their family, kept from their loved ones because they didn't want them to know what type of stuff they do when they hang around Jordan? Is there a reason why Jordan is like this mystery man to these families? These families, they know all three individuals. They know the fifth friend that was there, but none of them seem to know Jordan like that. Is there a reason behind it? Did these three men know, hey, when we go to Jordan's, we get effed up because Jordan's got the stuff. So we don't want y'all knowing where Jordan lives. We don't want y'all knowing much about Jordan because the more you know about Jordan, the more you know about what I'm doing behind the scenes. I don't want you knowing that I get high on the weekends. I don't want you knowing that I'm snorting, stuff while I'm watching the Chiefs game. I don't want you to know where I'm at when I'm all effed up with my friends having a good time. So Jordan's going to be our little secret. Even though Jordan lives right down the street, you could literally walk to Jordan's house. Jordan's going to be kind of our little secret. It's not necessarily anything about Jordan. It's about what we do when we're with Jordan that we're trying to keep away from our families. Because I feel like if I was missing for a couple of days and I had a fiance that lived down the street, I feel like she would walk down the street and say, hey, why is my fiance's car parked outside of your house? Why is he not answering the phone? Why is he not texting back? You know what I mean? So I do feel like this is just an extra added layer of mystery, another question that's been sitting on my mind because I find it weird that these three men were frozen to death in a backyard, just sitting in the backyard, frozen for days on end, a mile away from home. So, like I said, either these loved ones didn't know the exact location where these three guys were, or I guess maybe this is some type of normal behavior. Because it's not going to take your significant other usually 3 days to come looking for you if you're right down the street. So I just think that's weird. It's just really weird. But there's a lot of weird things about this story, right? But maybe there's nothing to it. And to be clear, I'm not really trying to say that there's anything to this. It's just a little piece of information that's been sitting on my mind for over a week now. And it just seems kind of weird to me. And at the very least, I think it may show us that there was an effort put forward to kind of shield Jordan or to keep Jordan away from the families because they knew what type of activities they partook in when they were with Jordan. Now, I could be wrong, but you tell me. I want your answer. What can you think of? Why would it take family 3 days to look for these men when they are frozen in a backyard literally down the street from one of the men's house? If your husband or your wife was hanging out at their friend's house and they didn't come home at night, the next day you called them and you're texting them, you would go look for them. You would probably go look for them that night. Especially if, hell, they're 2 or 3 blocks away. So, why was, I guess, Jordan's location kept a mystery from these people's families? Or was it not a mystery? Was this normal behavior and the loved ones didn't even think to go look for these guys for a couple of days because they disappear for a couple of days every time they hang out with Jordan? I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. Let me know your thoughts, though, down below. What do you think? While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. You could also donate via Super Thanks or for free. You could help this channel by liking, subscribing, ringing the notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very, very soon in the next video.